Okay, welcome back. So now let's have a look at the last part here. It's part 6. It says, Forrester accepted sales returns €300 from a customer. So a customer returned sales, okay? Entered this correctly in the books. So fine, we don't have to do anything if it's entered correctly in the books. The accounts clerk sent out a credit note. So that's the piece of paper you send out to your customer saying, fine, we're letting you off €300 for the sales return. But it showed a restocking charge of 10% of the sales price. So 10% of this sales price is €30. So it had a restocking charge of €30. So what that means is they're penalizing the customer for wasting our time, really, for the problem of us selling them goods, sending it out, and then them sending it back. So we're charging them a restocking charge of €30. So what that means is instead of leaving them off €300, we're really only leaving them off €270 of their debt. But we'll see as we go further. So restocking charge 10% sales price, but made the necessary adjustment only in the customer's account. So that's fine. That means the debtor's ledger is fine. The customer's account is the debtor's account. So that means so far your schedule of debtors is perfect. Later, this charge was reduced to 4%, but this reduction was not reflected anywhere in the accounts. That means now we do have a problem in both the in the schedule and in the debtors control account. So let's start with, I suppose, as we always have so far, we'll start with the debtors control account. And that means any entries that we had in the general ledger. So let's see what it was. Accepted sales returns 300 from a customer, entered this correctly in the books. So that's fine. Our sales account is fine because the sales returns are entered correctly. The accounts clerk sent out a credit note showing a restocking charge of this, but made the necessary adjustment only in the customer's account. So didn't make the adjustment in the general ledger. So what we can do is we can make an adjustment in the sales account for this restocking charge, or we can, just for our workings, we can do a restocking charge account. Restocking charge, I'm going to put it as. Now, if it's a charge that we're charging our customers, we're going to treat it like a gain, like a plus minus here, because we're getting money, if you like, or value from our customers, money from our customers, essentially, for doing this restocking. So if we treat it like a gain, what should have happened? The account clerk sent out a credit note showing that we're charging them 10%, we're charging them €30 for restocking, but the only place they entered in the books was in the debtor's account, not in the general ledger. So nothing was put in here. So we don't have to put anything in purple. So what should we have done? It was a €30 restocking charge. We should have €30 over here. Okay, that's for a start. But then something else happened. It says later, this charge was reduced to 4%. Now, 4% of 300 is €12. Perfect. This reduction was not reflected in the accounts. So now they're saying is we don't want it to be €30, 10%. We want it to be 4%, which is 12. So if I want to change this from a plus 30 into a plus 12, well, I have to reduce it. I have to subtract something to make that into a plus 12. And what I have to subtract is, I have to subtract 18, isn't it? Minus 18. Okay, now, here's, I suppose, this is an unusual one compared to the ones we've done before. We put in this, we fixed the first problem, and we put in this. So both of these are in black pen. Both of these are things that we did, not the things that were already done. So both of these have to go into your debtors ledger control account, but we don't put them in as separate entries. What we do is we take a net amount. So for instance, if you have a minus 18 and a plus 30, what does that amount to really? That's the same thing as a plus 12, isn't it? So this is the amount then that we're going to put in our debtors control account. And if it's a 12 on this side in the debtors control account, it's going to be 12 on the other side. So let's put that in for a start. €12. Now it would work the same if you put in the two figures, but we don't do that. What do we call it? Restocking charge. And it was 12 and it was part 5, I believe. Let me just check. Oh no, part 6. Oh, did I skip any? I don't think so. No, we're okay. So that's that. Now let's get back to our workings and let's see what we do for the debtors. So again, let's have our debtors account. And our debtors account again, plus minus as always. It's an asset. and we see what happened in the debtors. So the accounts clerk sent out a credit note showing a restocking charge, 10% of the sale price, but made the necessary adjustment only in the customer's account. So they did make the adjustment in the customer's account. So let's see what they did. They put in what was the restocking charge was 30 euros originally. What does a restocking charge mean to your debtor? If you're charging them more money, then it's going to increase the amount owed, isn't it, to you by your debtor? So that is a plus 30 that they put in purple. This is what they did, so that was fine. But it says then later this charge was reduced to 4%, but this reduction was not reflected in the accounts or not entered into the accounts. Okay, so it means they did not change the debtor's account to show that the restocking charge had been reduced to 12 euros. So at the moment it's this. We want to bring this down to be a plus 12, so we need to reduce it by 18, don't we? We need to reduce it by 18. Now, unlike the other one where we had two entries which were in black and we had to get the net amount, we only have one entry in black here. It's this minus 18 to reduce the amount owed by the debtors to 12 euros just. And so it's in the schedule of debtors, we're going to put in the less side, or the deduct part of it, we're going to put 18 euros. So let's have a look. 18 euros in the deduct part for a start. And what do we call that? Restocking charge, wasn't it? And again, it is part 6, wasn't it? Part 6. So that's all the workings done. Now you just have to total up, and this is an important part of it as well. And I'll show you how you do this one. It could be slightly different in another question. We might discuss that later. But in this particular question, what you do is you bring this credit balance all the way across over here, and you say balance carried down, the same credit balance that you had at the start. So 530 balance carried down. Okay. Now, as I say, there's an odd question where there is something to be done to this balance, or something has happened to that balance during the question, but we'll wait until we come across that in a different question. For now, you could take it just that you always take this balance carried down or brought down and make it a balance carried down on the opposite side. Okay, then we want to total and balance. So we should have, and we should notice that this is definitely going to be the bigger side in comparison to that. So it means our total is going to go on this side. We're going to total that up. So adding all of these up together gives you 30,000, 634. So you must have the same total over here, 30,634. And then if I add all of these together and subtract it from this, I'll get my balance carried down here. Balance carried down. And this balance carried down worked out to be, because I did it earlier, 29,424. Okay, and then what we'll do is just to bring down our balances, we'll take this over here. This becomes our new debit balance for the debtors control account. So 29 excuse me, 424 balance brought down. So that's the equivalent to the old one, which we know was incorrect at the start. This is the correct balance brought down for the debit side of our control account. And over here we also have a balance brought down, and it's the exact same as the old one. If we bring this down to the other side, 530, because we did nothing with that credit balance, or at least there was no mention of that debtor that we owed money to, anything changing during this question, so that stays exactly the same. So these are the correct balances. So now we go to our schedule of debtors. Now the schedule of debtors only has one number instead of two different balances, because if you remember back when we were doing our list of debtors, and I told you just add all of their debit balances together, and we had one credit balance, and what we did was we just put it in as a minus and got one figure of 3,500. So that's what we do again when we want to get the total of the schedule of debtors. We take this as a plus, this as a minus, and it gives us what our total should be. So 29,424 minus 530 is equal to, I don't think I calculated that. Where's my calculator? One moment. So 29,424 minus minus 530 gives me 28,894. Okay, so that is then, that figure goes in as your net balance as per control account, which you took from the control account, as per control account. And it goes down here on the furthest right column. So 28,894. And we're going to try and work our way back to find out what the original incorrect balance was in your schedule of debtors. Okay, so first of all, we want to tot up all our pluses, our adds, and tot up all our minuses or all of our deducts and see what our total is. So adding the two of these together, what's that? 4748, isn't it? 4,800. I'm going to put the total here. Adding the three of these together gives me 640. Okay, so what we're saying now is that if we had known what this was, we would be adding this on to get something else. So I'll put that there to get this figure. Then we'd be subtracting this. So if we're subtracting, we'll put brackets around it because this is the deduct part. We're subtracting this from whatever our total was up here, and it gives us this. Maybe I could have pushed that up a bit further. So if I'm subtracting 640 from something to get this, what was the something in the first place? Well, I'm going to have to add on 640 to find out what it was in the first place. So 28,894 plus 640 is 29,534. Okay. And again, I ask myself, well, if I had my balance at the start and I added this to get to this, how do I find out what this original was? Well, I'm going to subtract this from that to get back to the start. So 29,534 minus 4,800 is 24,734. So we're doing the opposite mathematical operations. So does that make sense? This is what we had at the very beginning, the incorrect balance from our list of debtors, because there were mistakes in our debtors account, these mistakes that we've gone through. So then we fixed, in order to fix the mistakes, we said you'd have to add on these figures. So we're adding to this to give us that. And then you also had to subtract these in order to fix the mistakes. So we're subtracting that from that, and this gives us the correct figure which we now have in our schedule, and we also have if we took our two balances together in our debtors control account.